Hi, everyone. Very nice to meet you. My name is Francesco. Thank you for joining this webinar today to learn more about the UC design programs in Paris. So today, just to give you a little summary, we'll go over the academic offering, the housing options, and some of the extracurricular activities available in Paris. We will have more or less a 20-minute presentation and then a Q&A session after we're done with the presentation. So if you have any questions, please hold on to those questions and you can write them in the chat box when we're done with the presentation. So before getting into the core of the presentation, I would like to introduce myself a little bit and today's speaker, Adrian. I work for Accents Global Learning. We are a study abroad organization, and we have been partnering with over 60 US colleges and universities in the US. What we do, we collaborate with the UCAP to develop academic curricula. We do manage the on-site housing, and we offer student support, including health and safety services to all the students that are studying with us overseas. Today, we have a special guest with us directly from Paris. Adrian, you want to introduce yourself?
Bonjour, or rather bonsoir, because it's dark over here. So my name is Adrian, and I work at the Accent Paris Study Center, and I have been doing so for over 15 years now. And as Francesco explained, I am based in Paris, and we basically, me and my team, we take care of all the logistics involved in the program. So we take care of academics, housing, cultural activities, and we are basically the ones who work very hard behind the scenes to make your study abroad program as interesting as possible, both academically, because it's study abroad, but also personally, and we're the people on the ground who will be there to help you in case you have any question or anything. That's in a nutshell.
Thank you. So before giving the floor to Adrian to talk about all the programs, I would like to highlight the benefits of studying abroad on a UCAP program. UCAP is the official study abroad provider for the entire UC system. All programs are designed specifically for UC students. And while you're on a UCAP program, you remain enrolled in your UC campus, which means that you do not need to take a leave of absence. And your financial aid, if you are on any financial aid plans, goes with you. As a UCAP student, you're guaranteed that all the courses you take abroad will receive UC credit. Okay, Adrian, it's your turn.
Très bien. So I guess now I need to talk about Paris. How can I talk about Paris in just a few minutes? It's really hard to describe. You really have to live in Paris to know what it's like. But I'll try. I like challenges. So Paris is obviously the capital city of Paris. Of France. It's the most populous city in France with close to 2.2 million Parisians. Paris is divided into 20 different districts called arrondissements in French, and each of them has sort of its own vibe, if you will. If you go towards the Champs-Élysées, you will get more of a high fashion kind of feel, whereas if you go towards the 11th arrondissement, you will get more of a bobo/hipster kind of impression. If you go up towards the northeast of Paris, you will get closer to the working class section where they have great city life. It's really very different. So Paris is really very different wherever you go, different feels. So basically to each his own. You'll see, once you come to Paris, you'll get that feeling once you're here. I'd also like to talk about the Greater Paris area, which is called the Grand Paris, Greater Paris. It counts 12.2 million people. I am one of them. I don't live in the city, I live in the suburbs. So that's a lot of people in a very small space when you think of it. And all of those people, usually go into Paris to work and, do stuff, go out, go to the museums and things. So as you know, Paris is very well known for art and fashion. I very recently watched Emily in Paris, the Netflix show. And some of it was true. It's all about art and being fashionable and stuff, but some of it is not very accurate, but we can talk about that once you're here. It's also very well known for the food. And here I can only talk about Ratatouille, the Pixar movie that you must have seen, I'm sure, when you guys were smaller, when you were younger. So it's all about, art, fashion, food, culture, but it's also about business. Because we have big business district, which is located just outside of Paris in La Défense, in the La Défense district. And, in France, we are well known for art and stuff, but also for big companies. We have LVMH, the Louis Vuitton group, the fancy, luxurious group. We have this, we have L'Oreal, we have thousands of startups that are, growing thanks to the, several incubators that we have that are located in Paris. So Paris is a lot of different things. And again, you really have to come, here to really experience it. So voilà. Now, if we look at the study center, you will see that we have a big resource and study center, which is located in the 11th arrondissement, the 11th district, which is sort of a very hipster area. It's the area of Bastille, where the prison used to be. Now we just have a big square and the opera house there. The Paris Center has 8 classrooms. We have a landing library with novels in French and in English. We have dictionaries, we have grammar books, French language books. We have lots of different things. We also have a study and a lounge area and a computer lab as well. This is sort of what a typical classroom looks like. So they are all, equipped with TVs and projectors and things. This is the lounge where we have the computers. We also have couches where students can just relax or study again. We always encourage them to study. And this is the courtyard in which we're located. As I said, we're in the 11th arrondissement, and the area in which we are used to be a place where furniture makers used to live and work. And the very small courtyard where we are, sadly all the furniture makers are gone, but we still keep that very small village kind of feeling as long as you're in the courtyard. So it's really very, very nice. Now let's look at the programs that are offered in Paris, and we can begin with a brief overview of the social justice and activism. This is a 10-week quarter program which addresses the means by which activists and activism engage in effecting change in social life. Through the courses that you can see down here below, students will learn how to evaluate the historical underpinnings of social justice that led to the rise of particular forms of activism and social movements in France today. So it's a 10-week quarter program, which is available as a winter quarter and the spring semester. The next program that we have is called French in Paris, and it is a 7-week language program which is meant to be an enriching and holistic adventure into French culture while using the city as an extension of the classroom. Students will develop their language skills in one of the 5 levels offered from beginning to advanced on the intensive track program. And as for beginning students, they also have the option to choose a semi-intensive track. The culture courses in English that you can see here on the screen provide students with venues to interrogate the history and arts that makes Paris so unique. So that's the French in Paris program. The Food, History and Culture in Paris is a fall program, which is obviously a longer program. It's 13 weeks long. And during that program, the fall program, students have the luxury of exploring French culture extensively because they spent a very good amount of time in Paris, while using Paris, again, as an extension of the classroom. During the program, the students can develop their language skills in one of the 4 semester levels offered, again, from beginning to advanced. Beginning language students have the option to enroll in the fall intensive French in Paris program to complete first-year French in 1 semester only. Through the elective courses in English, students discover the myriad ways that food is not only a staple, but also an art and a political philosophy and platform. Students interrogate France's history to better understand its presence, as well as the cultural products, such as media, cinema, and literature that consider issues such as gender and the pursuit of happiness that we're also striving for, especially at the moment. So these are, in a nutshell, the programs that are offered in Paris. You will obviously get more details if you decide to join any of them. Now we can look at housing in Paris. So there are different options that are available. Let's first look at the shared apartments. So sharing an apartment is an option that is available for all three different programs. Winter quarter, spring, summer, and fall. And the great thing about sharing an apartment in Paris is that you get to really experience the vie parisienne, the Parisian life as it is, as millions of people live it every day. If you share an apartment, you'll be with between 2 and 5 students in a Parisian building. And Parisian buildings vary from one to the other. Earlier on this afternoon, I was just looking at some potential properties that we could use, and I was looking at a building that was from the 16th century. So you can be living in a very old building which has gorgeous staircase and beautiful rooms, a mantelpiece, or things like that. Or you can also find yourself living in a very modern, very recent building. The apartments are spread out throughout the city, so you may again find yourself living about a 15-minute commute from the Action Center using the metro, or you may also very well find yourself in a different arrondissement, and it may take you 25, 30, or 45 minutes to get to the center. It depends, and as I said at the beginning, each arrondissement has its own charm. So even if you live a little bit further out, and it takes you a little bit longer to get into the center every day, no worries, you'll be in a great area that we vet. We check all the apartments, so that would be your experience in an apartment. And again, the apartments are very well equipped. They all have Wi-Fi, fully equipped kitchen. They have vacuum cleaners, bathroom and bedroom linens, heating obviously. Not necessarily air conditioning. Actually, only a few of them would have air conditioning because we don't really need that much here. They would all have an iron and an ironing board. The apartments, this is what they look like. So you will be sharing a room with a fellow student, obviously not sharing a bed. Each student gets his own bed, his or her own bed, a single bed. This is what a typical apartment, student apartment may look like, but again, it may have much modern, a lot more modern furniture. It may look a bit more ancient. It's really it really depends on the apartments and also the location. Again, you see the previous photo was a bit more traditional looking apartment, whereas this one is more like IKEA kind of apartment, which I also like very much because it's very Swedish looking, very northern, very bare. So apartments have different styles, and you will find out where you'll be staying once you get here, once you're signed up on the program. Another option, which I personally, as a French person, I can only encourage you to do that, is a homestay, staying with a homestay. This is an option that is only open as of the fall of 2021. So spring and summer, that will not be an option. But you really need, to be able to spend several weeks with French people to live really the full immersion, because living in a homestay is, you're interacting with locals. Even if, if you live in an apartment, you will be interacting with your neighbors, and, when you go to the market, you'll be, speaking French and all, but you will not be living with French people. And when you live in a homestay, you have breakfast with them, you have dinner with them, you can watch TV with them, and they can always, correct your French. That's something that they actually tend to do very often, because we French people are a little bit annoying about that. We like our language to be spoken correctly, but they'll always be very patient and explaining to you, why. This is really a great thing for you guys if you decide to go with a homestay option, because then you'll be really living the ultimate French experience. So that's a homestay. We organize throughout the the semester and the programs. We organize sometimes excursions. We also organize activities that are low cost, and several examples of events that we plan. We take our students sometimes to a bakery. We teach them, well, we don't teach them, but the bakers teach them how to make a baguette, how to prepare croissant, pain au chocolat. So we visit the bakery first, and then we actually make our own baguette. We roll it. I don't even know what's in called, not even in French. We prepare the baguettes. So we do that. We also do some cheese tasting activities. We serve a platter of cheese, and then we explain where the cheeses come from. I think we have over 346 different kinds of cheese, actually. So, can't taste them all, obviously, unless you make it a challenge when you come on the program to, try a different cheese every day. So we do that. We do the cheese tasting. We also organize, depending on the season, obviously, in the fall, we would be doing like a fondue dinner. Melted cheese, you dip bread in the melted cheese and then you eat it. It is just so good. We organize, we book tickets to concerts, the Théâtre des Champs-Élysées, and again, very cheap tickets. We do day trips sometimes to Strasbourg. We've been to Lyon, we've been to Lille in the north of France. So lots of really different activities that we organize. And we accompany you to sort of give you some insight about the French, the activity and the French culture. And this is something that we really enjoy doing to share our culture with you guys when you come on the program. So there will be lots of different activities organized when you guys come, when you guys decide to come. And we will obviously share more details with you once you get here. But that's in a nutshell sort of what happens when we do a program and
Thank you, Adrian. Thank you very much. And let me just remind you guys that for most of the UCAP programs, your financial aid carries over. Obviously, if you want to know specifically if this is your case, you can visit the financial aid office and the study abroad office, the UCSB campus, and ask for more information. So now we'll move on to a Q&A session. We have Paul. Paul, you want to introduce yourself? He's a returnee for fall 2019.
Hi everyone, I'm Paul. There's my pictures.
Yeah.
That presentation was honestly almost difficult for me to watch because of how incredible an experience I had. And I can't recommend the program enough. I was there last fall. I took courses about food and art, food sustainability. I started with no French, and I feel at least relatively competent now. Really had a great experience. That's what made me want to do this, because I think I knew going into studying abroad in Paris that I had an opportunity that was pretty, extremely rare. But I don't think you realize until you get there that like every week you're taking a class in the Louvre or the Orsay Museum. And it's just a new thing every week. And then you make pâte à choux. And then your French professor, you have a 6 p.m. language session, and he goes, hey, have you guys been inside the sacre coeur yet? Let's go in. And then you just go in. So, I mean, that's my introduction for my thoughts on the experience.
Thank you, Paul. That was very, very descriptive. Thank you very much. And we have a question already. But guys, if you have questions, please write them in the box. What was your housing situation like?
I lived in an apartment with a couple people from UCSB. One of them I knew pretty well, and the other one we just linked up because it was UCSB. And we ended up with a fourth person in our apartment. There was actually some issues when we first got there in terms of we wanted to all be together and it didn't work out that way. And Audrey, who you will know her if you do the program, she just instantly, within 30 seconds, I thought it was going to be an ordeal, take weeks. She just, okay, just gave me the right key. So something I thought when I was jet lagged and tired and kind of nervous was going to be a huge deal ended up couldn't have been any easier for me. I was in a great location in the 15th district. I was near, you couldn't go a block without 2 or 3 bakeries.
Isn't that annoying?
I got home. The first thing I did was go to a bakery when I got back to Berkeley, and baguettes were $4.50.
Ooh.
So that, I mean, the apartment experience it's jaw dropping that you get to just move in. But I mean, there's like an American University in Paris program in the building, but other than that, it was families. It was about 25 minutes on the metro to school, but it was a direct line. And it was basically from a really cool part of Paris into the center of Paris, sort of. So it was any day you went to class, you could stop at any point along the way to do pretty much anything you wanted.
Was it expensive living in Paris? Do you have any budgeting tips?
So it's really quickly, I'll do that second one. I'm a biopsychology and art history double major, and I'm also doing applied psychology. And I did language and culture in France, which I'm not sure if that exact program is still, or I did, yeah, that it's basically the equivalent of what's listed on there. It's expensive, but it's really not that different than, I mean, like for instance, San Francisco or New York. And really, I would say it's a downward slope in terms of how much money you're going to be spending, because you get there and you see a cute restaurant and you want to get a couple plates because it's hard to not get French onion soup, but you also need to get a main course. That's something I ran into multiple times. So, but it gets to the point where you're totally satisfied budgeting. And in my case, I had some friends that live in Paris. They grew up there, and I knew them from like high school. And living with them, they wouldn't drop a dime on anything. So that helped me budget. I think obviously in my opinion, the best city in the world, not just to sound like that, but it makes sense there's going to be expensive things, but I really wouldn't worry too much about that, especially because like you guys were mentioning, the financial aid is very accessible, and it's constantly being checked in on. And I didn't find like that it was specifically too expensive. Although if you go outside of Paris, then you can really save money. That's something I noticed too, for a weekend or something.
Okay, another question, I'm going to read it out loud. Do you have any advice for others without previous French language experience to overcome the language barrier and navigate life in a new language?
I think it might sound a little cliche because it's what everyone says, but you just have to practice. And people are very sensitive to airs in French, but also everyone is almost like charmed when you try it. Like the main bakery that I would go to almost every day, it was kind of like a fun back and forth. There was one man and one woman. I'm pretty sure that they're married and they have owned the place there for a long time. He sort of saw me get better bit by bit, and he would indulge it a little more as I got better. And it got to a point where he'd only really talk to me in English when he truly just had no idea what I was saying. But I think as much as French people don't like their language being messed up, they like correcting you, which certainly is beneficial. And the language courses themselves, I had Pierre, who I was blown away by. I mean, like, he would honestly think it was kind of weird how much all of our class loved him. Or not weird, but like, it was like, we really loved Pierre.
Okay, any other questions that you guys may have? Did you have classes every day? Was it easy to balance academics and time to travel and explore outside of class?
Definitely the balance was one of my favorite parts of the program. I had class Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and I think I had one on Thursday, but Friday was always off, which makes for traveling much easier. And also there's certain Thursdays or Mondays that would be given off, and there's a long break that's timed really nicely right around Halloween. Traveling was never an issue. Actually, the biggest issue was worrying about like missing a weekend in Paris for me, because there's certain places that there's kind of a pressure for the abroad kids to like go visit, and you feel that, but you also realize maybe it's 4 months that you have there, it goes by unbelievably quickly. So I mean, the classes are, it feels like the program is designed for students to get the most out of being in Paris, in Europe, and you still learn a lot and they're great courses, but really fair assignments, really fair workload, but also I wouldn't say too easy either.
Okay, another question. Could you tell us about the photos on this slide and maybe share a favorite memory from your time abroad?
Sure. So the first picture is us in front of the Eiffel Tower, and it is in the fall. It was pretty cold by then, or like the back end of the fall. It was pretty cold. That's my current roommate on my left, who's visiting me in Paris at the time, and my roommate in Paris on the other side. And that's just at a very popular spot. A lot of people, families, young, old, go there, drink wine, have a little picnic in front of the tower. The middle is us on the steps in front of Sacré-Cœur, and the view from there is unbelievable. If you see what's behind the person taking that photo, it's just an unbelievable view of the city. So that was somewhere we like to go, and when we were there, I'm forgetting the name of it's like a festival or party event in Montmartre.
Fête des Vendanges, maybe.
Yes, yes, that was going on when we were there. I think that was a couple weeks before that photo, maybe, and that was really exciting.
It's basically a wine festival. Yeah.
There's like apps you can use that show you all the stuff going on in Paris, and there's always things. There was a jazz day where there's just different jazz clubs were playing music across, and you kind of follow throughout the city over the course of the day. And then the last picture was PSG playing, they played Nantes that game, and they won 2-0, and Neymar and Mbappe scored. So I went to a couple games there, and I honestly would have bought season tickets because the atmosphere was incredible. They're a team on the rise. They made the finals in Europe this year, the same year that they were playing there. So I think everyone is, if you're a soccer fan or a sports fan, it's also fun to be in Paris for that too right now.
Yeah, they're becoming too good, almost annoying.
Well, I mean, They'll always figure out a way to lose in crunch time, I feel like. I became a fan just in time to watch them lose that heartbreaker. But I mean, that's just a photo I took on my phone. It's like that's really what it looks like. And that seat was, I think, 20 euros, which is, I mean, cheaper than almost any sporting event nowadays in the United States. Great view. I mean, I think my favorite memory would be my friends from that have lived in Paris are in they have a music group, and they had been planning a concert for over a year, and it lined up so that a bunch of my friends from Accent, like a bunch of people showed up, and everyone came together and we all met. And I was a little worried that the concert wasn't going to go super. I mean, I'm confident in them, but I just was nervous for them too. And it ended up being packed. They rented out a bar, and so I sort of got to see the worlds collide. And honestly, I would really recommend trying to spend as much time meeting French people, or it doesn't even have to be locals, because sometimes you meet someone if you're at a cafe or a bar or something that they're studying there from. We met one guy from South Africa that was now working, trying to finish sort of an equivalent of what seemed like a master's degree in France or something. Just a lot of people that you meet, and you never know who you might bump into again, or who you might want to roam around the city with later on. So it's nice to have friends and people from Accent, and I knew a couple people going into it, but it's not a knock on them, but the really unforgettable, I can't believe I'm here right now things would happen when I would be with the Parisian people.
Any more questions?
And all that was not, I didn't even really, I mean, a little bit of mention on the food, but the food really is that good in my opinion. It's
Yes, it is.
It's okay. It's decent.
Okay.
Italy too, when I visited, I mean, unbelievable.
Yeah. Food is pretty good in Europe, isn't it?
It's better in from production, just every factor. I'm trying to find my way back, actually. That's what I'm working on right now.
You know, I just heard that McDonald's, they're relaunching a McBaguette. It's all about protecting the economy, and then the food and everything. It has to be French products, and they're doing a McBaguette now.
Now I need to get back even faster.
Okay, well, I don't see any other question. Thank you, Paul. Thank you very much for joining. Thank you, everybody, for watching this presentation. Again, if you have made your mind, you have chosen your favorite program, you want to go to Paris, first thing you want to do, you get in contact with your study abroad office. You perhaps schedule a advising meeting, and then you take it from there. Thank you all. Thank you very much.